I made this comment just the other day online. There are people that they'll listen to a homily of mine, and the comment, I'm an idiot, religion is nonsense, why are you wasting these people's time? Then the next week, homily again, same guy, you're an idiot, why are you doing this? Next week, same guy, same thing. And then I'll say after 3 or 4 of these, like, and yet you're listening to my homily. I mean,
Come for the show and stay for the substance. Hello, everybody, and welcome back. As you just saw, Bishop Barron in a lecture thought it would be worthwhile to poke a little fun at one of his online trollers. It's quite interesting and shocking that so many people waste so much time on things, by their own admission, that they don't really care about. Why do we do that? And while this was a fun little passing jab, the content of this lecture, and specifically the part I'm about to show you in this clip, is really quite brilliant. Who are the type of people that Jesus saves? He's going to muse on the story of Zacchaeus, and then I will come back at the end and try to connect this to my own view of Christ. This is the Daily Dose of Christ, after all. All right, I'll see you at the end.
we're told that Jesus is making his way through Jericho. Now, in the Bible, when you say Jericho, you're talking about sin. You remember when the Israelites come into the Promised Land and Jericho is there and they have to surround it and then the walls fall and they conquer it. So it's kind of a paradigmatic city of sin. It's also, if you're in Jerusalem, and you take the road all the way down toward the Dead Sea, you're going down toward Jericho. Remember, Bartimaeus, the blind man, is by the walls of Jericho. So it's a place of sin. We're expected to see dysfunction in Jericho. So along comes Zacchaeus. He's called an architelones in the Greek. Telones is a tax collector. An architelones is a serious tax collector. It's cool, in Greek, tekton is the word that's often translated carpenter, so Joseph and Jesus by extension. But tekton would mean like a worker, a laborer, craftsman maybe, which is why an architecton, right, the chief laborer, that's the architect, our word comes from that. So architecton, here's the architelones. He's a chief tax collector. Now again, we know this. This is a very, very bad man. Tax collector was taking advantage of his own people, collaborating with the hated Romans, skimming money off the top. That's how they made their money. And if calling him an architelones is not enough, he also adds, oh, and by the way, he was rich, which means he's been doing this for a long time. This is a very bad man. Law of karma, he should be punished, Zacchaeus. What a jerk. If I had the opportunity, I would do something to him. Yeah, bad people deserve punishment. But what happens instead? He hears that Jesus is coming. And I think for anybody involved in pastoral ministry, I tell the seminarians for years about this and priests, all of us, anyone involved in pastoral ministry. That guy, beyond hope. That lady, she's hopeless. Forget it. Even in the worst people, and I mean objectively bad people, I'm not just saying they look bad, really bad people, there is nevertheless this strange hunger for God. And Augustine was right about that. Every year of my life, that's proven to me. I use that principle all the time online with people they're angry at religion, they hate me, they hate God, they hate the church. But somewhere in there, there's an openness to mercy. And Zacchaeus has that. So we hear he's small of stature, and he has to climb the sycamore tree to get to Jesus. Now, I was never a good tree climber. Even when I was a kid, I always found tree climbing hard. We had to do it in the Cub Scouts, and I didn't do it well, And that's when I was a good athlete as a kid, but I was a hard time climbing a tree. If someone told me now, go out and climb a tree, I'd have a very hard time doing that. So here's Zacchaeus. He's an older man, and he climbs a tree to see Jesus. The effort to which he went to reach out to the divine mercy, even though he wasn't entirely clear what he was even looking for, but there it was. I made this comment just the other day online. There are people that they'll listen to a homily of mine, and the comment, I'm an idiot, religion is nonsense, why are you wasting these people's time? Then the next week, homily again, same guy, you're an idiot, why are you doing this? Next week, same guy, same thing. And then I'll say after 3 or 4 of these, like, and yet you're listening to my homily. I mean, and I always tease them by calling them secret Herods, because remember, Herod imprisoned John the Baptist, but yet when John preached in the bowels of the prison, Herod loved to listen to him. I think there are an awful lot of secret Herods, an awful lot of Zacchaeus around that even as they're bad people, they're sunk in their sin, they hate the church, they're mad at God. Trust everybody in this impulse that led him to climb that tree, But then here's our principle again. Remember, it's not love awakens mercy, it's mercy awakens love. So listen, Jesus sees him. Zacchaeus, hurry, come down, for I must stay at your house today. Hey, Zacchaeus, I'm going to stay at your house because you're a great guy. Zacchaeus, everyone loves you, so I'm going to reward you by coming to your house. No, that's not how the spiritual life works. That's karma, maybe. Or Zacchaeus, you're a bad guy. I'm staying away from the likes of you. It's not how it works. Zacchaeus, you're a bad guy, but I'm staying at your house today. Now, mind you, everybody, this is the Lord Jesus talking. The Dominus Jesus, right? He wants to dominate us. He wants to be the Lord of our life. The house image here, watch that in the depth psychologist, of the house as symbolic of the whole psyche. But I like C.S. Lewis. Most of us, we like Jesus maybe in the front parlor for 45 minutes, one day a week, Oh, come on in, and we serve him a little drink or something, and then say, well, thanks, Jesus. See you next week, maybe. And Lewis's remark is, no. He wants to move into the whole house. Yes, he wants to be in your living room where you talk and so on. He wants to be in your game room. He wants to be in the workout room. He wants to be in the bedroom. He wants to be in the bathroom. He wants to be in every room in your house. I'm moving in. Not, I'm moving in because you're a good person, et cetera. No, I'm moving in. See, everybody, this is the spiritual life, is simply to have the openness of heart to say, okay, come in. I always like Paul Tillich's, the Lutheran theologian. He summed up the heart of justification this way: to accept the fact that you've been accepted, even though you're unacceptable. I think, by the way, if Luther had said that, but then stayed a Catholic, we would have been okay. You know what I'm saying? That's a good principle. That's a good principle. That Council of Trent will say that salvation begins with grace. Yes, it does. Grace first, gratia prima. Trouble with Luther was he said gratia sola, and that got us in trouble because Jesus wants to move in. All you got to do is say, okay. And then you begin this beautiful, beautiful life of cooperating with his grace and allowing him to bring every aspect of your life to full expression. That's it. That's the Catholic view of salvation. But Zacchaeus, I'm moving in. Now, this should be familiar by this time. All who saw it began to grumble and say, he's gone to be the guest of one who's a sinner. I know the old karma crowd, they're always around, Don't you know the Zacchaeus guy's a bad guy? Yeah, I know. But we're not playing karma here. We're playing mercy. And now, watch the dynamic. So the mercy comes first. It caused the woman to extravagantly express her love for Jesus. It caused the woman caught in adultery now to go and sin no more. Listen to Zacchaeus. Look, half of my possessions, Lord, I will give to the poor. And if I've defrauded anyone of anything, I'll pay back 4 times as much. That's how it works. That's how it works. That's what Jesus wanted. See, he wanted Zacchaeus to come alive. His whole life had been this stingy, rapacious tax collector defrauding his people. How do you stop him from that? You show mercy. You say, I'm coming to your house. I'm offering forgiveness. And that move then opens up the floodgates of love. And Zacchaeus goes beyond the call of duty. If I've defrauded anyone, that's his whole life's been defrauding people, by the way. But I'll pay him back 4 times. 30, 60, and 100-fold. All that wonderful language of exuberance and superabundance. It comes not from karma, it comes from grace, from mercy.
So, how is what Bishop Barron is saying connect to Jesus Christ? I really do think that the story of Zacchaeus is really it's a great story to get to the heart of the gospel. I think many people, when they read the story of Zacchaeus, he can be kind of this quirky character who climbed a tree. But what's so important to see is that he is a real human being that had real struggles of being weighed down by his sin, greed, and betrayal of his own people. And what's so crazy about this story is that we see that he was a terrible person, as Bishop Barron explained. But it's precisely this type of person whom Jesus saves, right? It's this person who Jesus goes to their house. It's this type of person that Jesus invites to follow him, to receive his mercy and his grace, and therefore to be transformed. It's important to see though, like the mercy of Christ, it never leaves us where we are at. Like you can read the story of Zacchaeus and you can see like him going and returning the hundredfold and the superabundance as Bishop Barron is talking about. But what's so important theologically to see with that is it's really the impelling of Christ and his mercy and his forgiveness that is the fruit that Zacchaeus produces. Because he had been forgiven by Christ, is why he wanted to rectify the wrongs that he had committed. And this is the pattern of the gospel, is it not? We receive the grace of God in our desperation. And like Zacchaeus, once Christ comes in and he actually comes into our house and he actually tells us he's going to come into our house, um, we live in a newfound inspiration to spread the love of Christ in the same way that we have received it, right? And you see, the story of Zacchaeus is a story shrouded within the Bible. It's encapsulated within the Bible, but it's a reality that can be experienced and lived by all of us today. You see, Christ meets us in our sin and he calls us and he wants to come and live inside of us. He wants to come to our house and he wants to fill us with his love so that we can provide it and give it away to others as well. I was thinking about this kind of analogy with the story. Many of us have a heavy backpack of bricks of shame, regret, sin that we carry around with us all the time, right? And we would want to be able to take the backpack off, but we can't undo the fact that the backpack is tied to us and these heavy bricks are being carried by us. And over time, I think we can get used to this weight. We can kind of buckle up our bootstraps and we can say, "No, I can carry this. It really is my fault. I'll carry it because nobody can take this heavy burden from me." But we're human. We're frail, and it becomes exhausting. It becomes so tiring that we think that we can no longer go on. We can no longer keep going. And it is precisely in those moments that Christ shows up. He doesn't just give us tips either on how to carry the load better. He's not a guru. He's not a Buddhist monk saying, just forget that it's heavy, right? No. What does Christ do? He takes it for us. He says, I'll carry that. And what's important to see with that is like Jesus is the omnipotent God of the universe. Our sin, our shame, our regret, while it's heavy to us, is very light to him. And then he summons us to carry the light yoke of the place that he is summoning us to go, the gentle pull of where he is summoning us to go. And I think it's important to see like that's what Zacchaeus experienced in that moment. The load off. All the money he collected that was weighing him down in regret, it was just gone. And in superabundance, he starts giving it all back. That's the type of transformation that Jesus offers all of us. But it's so important to see, like, if you're feeling weighed down by your own bricks of your own sin and shame and regret, Jesus is already calling you, saying, I will take that. You don't have to fix yourself. He wants to embrace you, He wants to give you His love so that you can then be the agent that extends and superabounds that grace, mercy, and love to other people. Christ is not a distant judge, but is the Savior who still summons us. Zacchaeus, I'm coming to your house today. Fill your name in the blank. TJ, I'm coming to your house today. Will you open the doors and let Jesus come in? Or are you going to allow your own sin, your shame, your regret to keep the door closed to the one person that can alleviate that heavy burden and weight? That's what I was thinking about when I was listening to Bishop Barron today. All right, that's all I have. Please be sure to like and subscribe. Remember that Christianity is Christ, and without Him, there is no Christianity. See you in the next one. Peace.